today I want to talk to you guys about AI. But before we do that, I want to talk about the ground truth of SDA. What we can see at this illustration is our pipeline from proprietary binaries down to our ground truth. First, what we do is we take any of the supported vendors, we convert to an XML file, which is kind of neat because that's standardized at least, but we see even for each vendor it's different. What we then do is we apply the SDA magic and normalize the data so we have our ground truth. What we then also found out is that this just not powers the entire SDA platform. It is also pretty convenient to use it as an input for LLM, large language models. Simply because we know where the network starts, where it ends, and how the entire project looks like for any given vendor. And at first, I'd like to show something that is already in production. Some of you guys probably have even used it, which is the code documentation. What we can see here is a backed up Siemens project. And for this, to see the documentation, we simply navigate to the project viewer. We select the desired file. And once the file is selected, give it a second. Once the file is selected, we see a variety of different networks that we can scroll through. And at the most top one, we already see there is a documentation generated, which is in our standard format with an overview, functional description, and also dependencies. Meaning that you have a function block that depends on something else. How does this dependency impact the functional behavior of that function block? That's neat. As I said, that's already in production. But what we do now is also the diffing, explaining differences between two project versions. And for this, I'd like to showcase this on the same backed up project, on the Siemens project. We select two different versions. Click compare, we will be prompted to the project view again, where we can select the files that we want to inspect. And once we open the file, we can see the differences, which was already showcased by Tom as well. We can see a modified one, a deleted block, and what we see at the modified, at the most top one, there is a documentation generated where we can see a change overview, a analysis of the changes, and how the functional impact of the changes are. But that's not it. This is now something that the user can view, right? It's not something we can interact with. What we now want to build is an agent for the platform. What we currently build now actually is an agent for the platform that makes the entire experience more interactive. We don't only want the user to click through the application, but make it more interactive, more lively. So just envision you have a new factory you want to onboard. There are various different devices, and instead of clicking through them and adding a device one by one, you can just prompt an agent telling him I need X devices with that IP range for that vendor, and it will be generated. On top of that, what we also plan is a summary of what has happened into the platform for the prior day, for the prior week, as well as vulnerability reports. Just as an example, you have a Siemens PLC, firmware is outdated, you want an agent to inform you how to update it, and in the best case also to update it for you, if you agree, of course.